Welcome to the Learning Zone with Miss Beachley, Miss Hall, and Miss Bates.
Okay, so today we are going to be writing a summary of the events in the text Brave Bessie, and this comes from that same standard we've been working in this week, which says we can describe a connection between a series of historical events, scientific ideas or concepts, or steps in a technical procedure or task. So our learning agenda today looks like you should always be doing that phonics practice before you watch this video. I want you to go ahead and complete that second read of Brave Bessie today, and we're going to be watching this instructional video and doing our respond to reading routine. So nothing super new. We have been looking at the skill of sequencing, and sequencing is putting things in order and putting the events in the story in the order that they happened. We want to make sure that we're focusing on those most important events when we sequence. So we use these graphic organizers that look like this, or the one on the screen where we use first, then, next, last, or first, then, next, finally. And when we sequence, we can have a lot of clue words in our stories that help us understand that this is signaling that an event is changing. So yesterday I asked you to fill out your sequence chart for the story Brave Bessie and do your first read of Brave Bessie. If you haven't already sequenced Brave Bessie, you're going to want to do this before watching today's instructional video. Like I said, we are going into our second read of Brave Bessie. And while we're in that second read, we're continuing to mark up the text. We're understanding the point of view, the text structure, and we're making sure that we are completing our graphic organizers and fully understanding the text. After we've done that second read of Brave Bessie, we're going to be writing a nonfiction summary. And nonfiction summaries are a little different than the fiction summaries we've been writing, where we've been using that somebody wanted but so then method. You can still use that method, but because when we read nonfiction text, we're reading for understanding and to show new learning, we want to make sure that our summaries show what we've learned and what we understand from this text. So the easiest way to do this is by doing 3 easy steps. The first step is that you're going to tell the main idea of that selection. You want to say what the story was mostly about. Then you want to tell the events of that story in order. So this week we've been reading about people's lives. So it's really easy to tell the events of people's lives in order because most of the time we're told them in order. And we want to end our summaries with something that we've learned. This shows the reader of our summaries that we've learned something, we've taken something away from this text. Our summary should be about 6 sentences long and make a nice concise paragraph. I don't want to see any short summaries or run-on sentences. I am going to be modeling for you how I would write a nonfiction summary of the story Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell that we read earlier this week. And then you're going to take what I've modeled for you and you're going to apply that when writing your summary of Brave Bessie. So remember, when we're writing that nonfiction summary, the first thing we want to do is tell the main topic, then tell those events in order, and end our summary with something that we've learned. So when we're talking about telling the main topic, this is where using that close reading routine can come in a lot of handy, because if we're telling the main topic and we're explaining and we've been marking up our text, during that first read we would have marked up and said exactly where we saw the main topic. So in my text, I've marked down here that the main topic came from the last paragraph, which said, Elizabeth Blackwell helped people her whole life. She opened doors for many women. So I want to take that main topic and put it in my own words, which I've done. So my main topic is, and the first sentence of my summary is that Elizabeth Blackwell opened doors for many women. Now I go into taking my sequence that I did on these pages in the little boxes that I made, or in the graphic organizer if I did it digitally, and I put those events in order in my summary. And this is where those clue words that are in our sequencing anchor chart can be really useful, because they give us words that we can use when writing our summary to signal to the reader that we're changing the event in the story. So I said, first, Miss Blackwell was born in 1821. She moved to America and became a teacher. Then, and I used a new clue word to signal that I'm changing the event. Then, when her friend got very sick, she decided to study medicine. And sometimes I can take those clue words and I can actually use those clue words to signal that time is passing. So I know from the story that it took a really long time for Miss Blackwell to find a school that would accept her. So I used the word eventually, because eventually this happened. So eventually Miss Blackwell was accepted to medical school and became the first female doctor. And then when I end my summary of the events, I want to use a finalizing word like the word finally. So I said, finally, Dr. Blackwell opened her own practice and helped many people. So the last step that we want to do is we want to end our summary with a statement of what we learned. So my statement of what I learned is I learned that Dr. Blackwell faced many challenges to become the first female doctor. Those are my own thoughts and my own opinions that I've put into the text. Here you can see my nonfiction summary of Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell that we just went over. So let me read it to you in its entirety. Elizabeth Blackwell opened doors for many women. That's the main idea, or what the story was mostly about. First, Miss Blackwell was born in 1821 and moved to America. Then, her friend got very sick, so she decided to study medicine. Eventually, Miss Blackwell was accepted in medical school and became the first female doctor. Finally, Dr. Blackwell opened her own practice and helped many people. I learned that Dr. Blackwell faced many challenges to become the first female doctor. So, this is how I've set up my summary, and I can show the most important events of Dr. Blackwell's life in order while also expressing what I've learned and what I've taken from this reading. So your next steps for today's lessons are to complete that second read of Brave Bessie and use your graphic organizer from yesterday to write a summary of Brave Bessie. I want you to be working in your turn practice book on page 228 and 229, and I want you to complete your respond to reading question in your notebook or on Google Forms. As always, you can do extra wonders practice or ABC Mouse using those links provided, and don't forget that you should always be doing 15 minutes of iReady reading a day. Have a good one, Furman families. This is just a reminder. I almost forgot. This is just a reminder that there will not be videos posted on Friday. So if you are on Google Classroom, you should be watching for an assignment to wrap up the week. If you are not on Google Classroom and you're still watching these videos, I just want you to go through that checklist that I went over at the beginning of the week to make sure you've done everything that we've asked of you this week in reading. Have a great, safe, and happy and healthy weekend, Furman families, and I will see you next week.